So this is what actually surprised me a lot when I was catching up with Oshinoko. Kaguya from Kaguya-sama Love is War is in this manga. Yeah, legit. Like, legit, this is real. This is a real panel. This is not like, fan art, etc. Kaguya is in the manga of Oshinoko. Now, to kind of clarify something before I kind of get into the big point of this video, this is written by the same author of Kaguya-sama. For instance, Oshinoko and Kaguya-sama Love is War, and so it makes sense that maybe there might be some crossovers, etc. But from what I can discover, and like I found out about the series, apparently the world of Oshinoko is literally in the same universe as Kaguya-sama. So everything that happened in the Kaguya-sama manga and anime legit is happening in Oshinoko, and vice versa. So that's pretty interesting. It's honestly, the more you know, it adds a little bit of a layer to the series, honestly, and if you appreciate the original work, for instance, like Kaguya-sama, you're probably gonna love these little nods and stuff and all that, and references to the actual verse of Kaguya-sama in Oshinoko. But anyways, getting on topic, I have officially caught up with Oshinoko. I read up to chapter 115. I believe that is the latest chapter, unless I don't know, like there might be more, but I believe 115 chapters is the current amount. And I was around chapter 40 when I stopped reading a long time ago, and I decided to sit down and just catch up. Because obviously with the explosive beginning of the anime with how episode 1 was, I wanted to just see how the manga is doing, because obviously I wanted to know. It kind of rekindled that fire within me, and I wanted to see where the story has went, how much progress we've gotten, etc., and kind of where the characters currently stand in terms of development, etc. And so, I sat down and I dedicated pretty much a full day of, catching up with the manga. Now, how do I feel about it? How is the Oshinoko manga, and how is it in terms of, like, how I felt when I was getting hyped with the anime? I'll be honest with you. It's good. It's legit a really good manga. However, upon reading it, there is something that came to my mind. And one thing in particular is that, man, the art of Oshinoko is good, but nothing that screams to me. Nothing that says, like, this is the best art I've ever seen in a manga, which I don't want that. But when I take a hard look at just the way the manga is drawn, and no disrespect to the artist and writer, etc., because they're doing a fantastic job. There's, some good shading and drawings, line work, etc. But what I'm trying to say is like, when you take a hard look at the manga art, and then you look at what we got with the first episode of the anime, it's really clear that it goes along with the point I made in that video. That the anime really has elevated this work and brought it to life, because I think that this series in general really does very well in an anime format because of just what the artwork is, and then how some of the backgrounds are kind of, solid white like a blank canvas. It allows, the artists and animators a lot of freedom to bring out the best of the series. So I feel like, in terms of artwork, it is really shocking just to see kind of like how the art isn't anything that's amazing, and I can't wait to see how the anime interprets it and really elevates it to a whole new level. But let's get on to the actual big stuff that's going on within the manga, and that is, I guess the plot. How has the plot been? What is currently going on in the events of the story? Has Aqua managed to find his father, or the killer of, his mother? What has happened? Well, a lot, honestly, and at the same time, not a lot. And let's get into that. So there is, as I said, 115 chapters currently. I stopped reading around chapter 40. It was around when there was like a huge play, and Aqua was participating in a play, and he had to, just basically use emotional acting. It was the first time he really used emotional acting, and it's kind of what started a huge chain of events of development for him, basically realizing that, he could be free from his, past, his trauma, his PTSD, so to speak, and try to live a normal life. And if you obviously, have read to this point, you probably understand why. Because he found out, apparently, the father that was probably responsible for Ai's death was already long dead. So because of that, his overall objective, his quest for revenge, was over. So basically, he didn't get to fulfill it, at least that's how he felt, and so the next point in his life was to move on and try to do something with his life. And so, throughout, like, chapter 50, 70, to around 100, you have it to where Aqua is trying to just progress as a person. You see development. He's trying to take things a little bit more seriously with the, how he hangs out with certain characters. He doesn't want scandals, etc. You just see how he's grown. He's no longer just driven by revenge, so to speak. But on the flip side, you have, Ruby that becomes more darkened, and she gets into this atmosphere of just, she is no longer the same innocent person she once was. And it's an interesting swap, because at this point in time, when I was catching up, when I was on chapter 70, 80, etc., Ruby as a character, she legit was, I'll be honest with you, she was kind of shelved. It was mainly Aqua leading the story for a good long while, until, Ruby became kind of front and center for a while, opening up, the idol group and all that, and trying to progress her career, and then eventually finding out the truth of, what, her brother's been doing, and then wanting to also get rid of their father. So, just I'm glad the story finally kind of put more of a spotlight on Ruby and gave her more development, because, we needed that. I felt like she needed a lot of that to know the truth, so to speak, and obviously at this point in time with, 115 chapters, Ruby still doesn't know the real truth of, who Aqua is. For instance, the doctor, she doesn't know that. And if there is one thing that legitimately I have been wanting from the manga, is for that to already be revealed. I feel like that's been kind of dragged on for too long, because it's when they've been together for already 16, 17 years at this point, Aqua and Ruby, you think they would want to know about, maybe their past. Seriously, sit down and think about this, okay? Let's really think about this. If you're someone that was reincarnated, okay? And someone else that basically went through the exact same thing as you, wouldn't you want to talk with them? Because they're the only person in the entire world that would understand you. It's not just, let's say, the death of I that's bonded them and all that, and being her children, but also just, they literally have already experienced a different life and were reincarnated. You think they would just sit down and talk about it. But obviously, thanks to circumstances and kind of a falling out between Ruby and, Aqua, that's not going to happen for a good long while, because at this point in time, Aqua did something that was kind of shocking, honestly. And what the man did in general is that he revealed the true identity of who he and Ruby are, and that he is the children, or they are the children, of I, that died by getting murdered. And it's a huge reveal that happens around chapter 100 something, and it's just holy crap, it's finally happening, we're having this moment and all that. And obviously Ruby's reaction to it is incredibly negative. She legit does not like how the secret of, her mother is out now, and that, they were wanting to take it to their grave, but obviously that has not happened. And the reason for it, and why Aqua even went that length to do that, wasn't to get vengeance because he found out that, his actual father isn't really dead, but he wanted to protect someone that was close to him, and it's basically showing that his life isn't just about I anymore. He's moved on and progressed as a person, and he wants to just actually be happy as an individual, and that's kind of the whole point of it. He was making that sacrifice to make others happy, and I think legitimately it's a great moment. It legitimately shows a lot of development for him, but obviously Ruby as a character, especially in this moment, she has, like I said, become very dark. She's someone that can't accept that. She is bounded by the past of recently finding out this truth, and she no longer wants anything to do with Aqua whatsoever, because obviously the secret is out. It's just I can't see you as family if you're going to do something like that. Now, getting into actually Ruby's development, as you can see by this panel here, she legit is becoming more and more like I, her mother, that died. She is living a lie. She's acting like a liar. She's putting on this fake smile and expression. Everything we see going on with her character is basically kind of the exact same thing that happened at the beginning of the story and what I had to go through as a person. And what worries me about this, with the way the development is going, it's building up to the point to where maybe I is going to also, or not I, Ruby is going to try to find someone. She might get with someone, have kids with them, kind of similar to how I was, and then she might get murdered or something. I could see something like this happening because of the way the story is building up, which that's another thing I do want to talk about, the story in terms of the supernatural. So around chapter 80, 90 and all that, when we had a lot going on and, Ruby was going through the beginning stages of development and learning about the truth and everything, we saw these, two kids that were, just venturing, doing their own little thing, and it was very mysterious. And the way that arc was stated when, Ruby found her old doctor from her previous life's body, the way it seemed like was that there is entities like deities like, Amaterasu and all of them that are messing with, Ruby and Aqua's life. And if anyone remembers from the first episode that we got recently, we got to see that whole little play with Ruby and Aqua and how they were babies and they were sitting on the table and, they were saying they were Amaterasu and all that, or sent by deities, etc. I feel like there is some more truth there than just as a comedy gag. I mean, the way the series is built up, it seems like there's definitely more to the whole eye theme than we actually first believed. Like, I want to point this out. So, if you look at, like, Ruby here, her eye actually changes in the latest arc. She has 2 stars now. Like, for instance, she has a star in both eyes, while Aqua has lost his star because he's no longer seeking revenge. So I do feel like there is something clearly going on with the eyes, and definitely something that the writer is doing in their own way, hinting at something to come in the future with maybe some major reveal. But overall, Oshinoko as a manga, in terms of how I feel about it, is it good? Yeah, it's very good. I've enjoyed the content and kind of how now there is a movie being made about Ai's life and that, Ruby's probably going to be playing her mother in this role. I think that's legitimately fascinating. I do wonder how that direction of the story is going to go. Will it allow her to accept the reality that, she needs to move on? Or will it cause her to become even more dark and, depressed and sad? Who knows? Now, one thing that does need to be mentioned, though, I need to talk about the pacing. So, if there is one huge negative to this manga I have noticed, and once again, this doesn't detract anything away. I've really enjoyed the manga, okay? I would read it again, all over again, and I would still make a video, etc. The only thing that is negative, though, is the pacing. And what I mean by that is that it feels like around chapter 70 to now recent, chapter 110, the series is kind of floundering around, trying to figure out what it wants to do and what direction it should go, and there was not much progress whatsoever with the story. Yeah, there was an development with Ruby and Aqua, but overall, it just felt like it was just, flapping around, not knowing what to do next. But it seems like finally the series has found some direction with this latest arc we've gotten in the manga. So that is good. It is a plus. But I do think that around 70 to 100 so was definitely just like, what's going on here? It felt like nothing was really happening. But things are picking up again. So yeah, that's my overall thoughts. This is just my general impressions of my read of the manga so far. I might do a deeper dive later on with a separate video, but for now, that's it. If you want chapter reviews on this series, do let me know in the comments below. I definitely will. But I'll see you all next time for my next video. Be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.